跟住咧，政府咧援助國際有啲教仔啊咩啊，就發麵包起酥發麵包，收尾咧就煮飯，大鍋嘅飯，發動嗰啲人咧即係嚟燒飯。我嗰時候都係嗰啲燒飯嘅工作我都做過㗎啦。
They arrived in 1950, and at the time they were, of course, first they had lost the war, so they were defeated, and they arrived here, and their state of mind at that time was we stay here for a while and then be prepared to go back. So this place for them was just a passing place, I would say. They were here so for a while.
I think the more news that came over from China, that really the regime was stabilizing itself so much and that there was economic progress and so on, that did quite a lot to change their mind.
There are more than 6,000 old people left over from the Chinese Civil War in Rennie's Mill now. Most are 60 years old or more. Mr. Wang was one of the refugees, but he said that he only fought the Japanese invaders.
抗日之後咧，我就勝利之後我就退役㗎啦，我就唔做我始終係我打日本我就打自己打我就唔打，一勝利之後我馬上退役翻嚟，翻到屋企，翻去教書。我教書嗰個學校就係農業學校，嗰個校長佢話。就係廣東省嚟出啲農人翻身噶嘛，我哋個農業學校咧，淨係個需要咧拍嘢啫。我保證你冇事。咁好啦，我等你教書啦。但係我認為消事比較快啲，有啲學生咧馬上就後面咧，由後面走翻嚟啦，通知我啲後面咧又爬到山，行咗山咧，我唔到啦嘛。咁樣，嗰時我又唔知道佢咩事，唔知道咩原因嚟揾我所以咩有電話佢，你舊時當過咩團長啦，做過咩事情啦？你有問題啊咁樣。我哋我話共產黨書我會得教㗎，我話共產黨書我咪一樣教咯佢話唔得㗎，跟住撞你咯，要撞我咪走咯。
When he fled from the Communist Army, Mr. Wang was just a former nationalist soldier, and he didn't know that he'd be just another minor nationalist officer who would wind up in the remote outpost of Rennie's Mill, a part of colonial Hong Kong.
出來咧，軍人亦有，當個軍長、司長啲都有，同埋佢高級啲都有，包括嗰班人現在都去咗台灣㗎。嗰啲司長階級啲人都好少㗎啦，都係團長下嘅人多啲，軍隊就。
So mostly so low-ranking soldiers, because the officers and the high-ranking people in the army, they all went to Taiwan. So mostly just the ordinary soldiers were left behind. Then also some civil servants of the nationalist regime. There were also some bandits who had many reasons to flee away.
While former low-ranking Kuomintang soldiers found themselves in Rennie's Mill in 1950, there were others, legacies of the Chinese Civil War, who also arrived.
Among the refugees, there were a few priests, a few Chinese priests, and some missionaries who were also expelled from China. And they decided to stay with the people they were serving. So when they arrived here, they established themselves here. They opened a school, they opened a hostel, they opened a kindergarten, and they also established a church for the people here. And they organized themselves into a kind of relief agency, I would say. So at the same time, they were helping the people because they were very much in need.
This is the modern-day version of the relief agency, and many old soldiers and their families in Rennie's Mill depend on it.
現在呢就叫做服務處難民營嘅服務處現在都係有，嗰啲錢咧都係國際咁嘅專業嚟嘅。 講緊有，咁台灣亦有啦，
But how much relief do these old soldiers who fought in the China wars actually get from Taiwan?
Some of them now, at this stage, they feel a little bit abandoned. You know, they get so every month they get $180 subsidy, and then say, well, for the rest. But abandon is a strong word. Yes, there is a kind of bitterness, so I would say. You know, all the high-ranking officers, and so they are all gone to Taiwan. The poor soldiers are left here behind.
With the joint declaration between China and Britain now concluded, how can an old nationalist village nestled in a corner of Hong Kong survive the next 10 years? We'll look at this historic question in part 2 of Focus. This is a nationalist celebration of a youth festival in Rennie's Mill. It's to commemorate the struggles of nationalist revolutionaries against the Qing dynasty just before the monarchy was overthrown in 1911. It's another legacy of the nationalist days in China. The irony is that the celebration is taking place in a Taiwan school in a Hong Kong village.
There is still a school here that is subsidized by the nationalist regime of Taiwan. And this school is free of charge, so there are still quite a few students going to that school just for financial reason. Now, we think the nationalist regime, they still want to have that school as a presence here in Hong Kong. So they still want to help students here in Hong Kong. Most of these students, when they finish Form 5, Form 6, then they have plenty of facilities to go to Taiwan.